Hey, this is Gabe Hogan from Tacoma FD, and you're listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Gabe, welcome to the cave.
Thank you very much, man. Good to be here.
What's going on with you, man? What's new?
Well, we just finished up Tacoma FD, which is going to drop March 28th. I don't know when this is going to be coming out, but we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about that, man. You've been busy the last few years, huh? Over 300 episodes of TV appearances, 45 movies, and now, of course, Tacoma FD. Man, how do you handle all that?
Very carefully. No, it's been great, man. Hey, listen, I'm really lucky. I'm blessed that I get to work so much, do a lot of different things, and it seems crazy when I look back at it, or somebody brings it up, says, hey, listen, you've done this many episodes of television and this many movies and stuff. It's crazy, right? Because you don't stop to think about it while you're working, right? There's, times when you come up for air and sort of go, wow, yeah, that's a lot of stuff, man. So it's cool.
Yeah. So, and you said you're also a dad too. It's crazy. Family life and acting. And do you sleep at all? That's the question, I guess.
Yeah, well, I do. I got two kids. They're awesome. And my wife she's also an actor. So, it can be tricky sometimes. We fly in our folks a lot if we're both working at the same time, to hang with our kids. My wife is she's almost on like banker's hours right now because she's doing General Hospital. She's doing a soap opera, so she's like, into work at super early, but done by like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. every day. So it's kind of cool. We're around more. When you're both actors and you have kids, it's like when you're not working, you're with them all the time. Yeah. When you are working, sometimes you're gone, and so it's good. I mean, I grew up in a family of film and television people, so I don't know much else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How old are your kids? I have two kids also, so I know how it is between work and raising kids and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, my daughter's 8, and my son has turned 13.
Oh wow!
So he's becoming his own little dude, right? He's just off skateboarding or doing whatever all the time, and my daughter's 8, so. A little stretch there in between, yeah.
So you were born in Toronto. How was it growing up in that area?
It was great, man. It was great. We still get back there once in a while. I'm still a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and our Raptors are doing well right now too.
That's great.
It was great. Actually, both my kids were born in Toronto. My daughter was born there and just was there for a minute, so now she lives in California. But it was great, man. I love Toronto, love Canada, love the East Coast. I love where I'm at here in California, but I do. I'm definitely a Toronto. I'm definitely an East Coaster for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't miss the cold weather. I'm from Massachusetts, and I'm a huge Bruins fan. Just to let you know.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll probably see you guys in the first round. It's looking like man. That's a scary thought because the Bruins, man, every time. No kidding. Especially this fucking polar vortex or whatever the hell was going on. I was back there for a minute. We took the kids back east over Christmas, and it was freezing. I mean, I grew up back there, but this one was particularly brutal. So. Man, I don't miss that. No.
so I read online that you grew up playing hockey too. Did you want to go pro like every kid up in Canada?
Yeah, sure I did. Yeah, man, of course. I mean, like we played a lot. I played up until maybe high school and stuff, and then picked it up again later on. I still play in some men's leagues and stuff, but my son's playing hockey. He's playing out here in California, which the hockey's pretty good. You know, it's not as back home where you know, every single kid plays hockey. It's kind of more selective here. You know what I mean? But I definitely love hockey. Grew up playing it. It's my number one sport for sure.
Do you check out Kings games while you're in California?
Yeah, man. We hit them. We hit the Kings games definitely when Toronto comes. We go every time. I was actually gonna go this weekend. You know, they call us and, you know, we kind of get invited to games now, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But I think because they're Kings, you know, their season's tanking a little bit this year. So they've been calling a lot saying, hey, you want to go? You want a suite? You want to? But I'm actually heading to Texas tomorrow. We're doing a little promo for Tacoma. So and then back east, actually, we're going to New York straight after that. So wow. We'll see if it might still be polar vortex there. I'm not sure.
So you said you grew up in a family of acting. What made you pursue acting?
I'm not sure, man. You know, like I did grow up in it, and it was a lot of theater. When I was a kid, my parents were doing a lot of theater, and there was, you know, some films here and there, but we traveled a lot. I didn't really, I think, you know, I was maybe 14. I did a movie almost by default because it was my friends and my parents, and I auditioned and I got it. I mean, I was skateboarding around where they were casting, and they said, hey, what about the Hogan kid? And, you know, I did that, and then it wasn't for another maybe 5 years till I was later on in my later teens, maybe almost 20, I guess I did a play. I auditioned and did a play, and then they were going to tour that play, and then I said yes to that, and that was when I kind of took it more seriously, and then I started training and went after it really sort of in my 20s, I guess. So I wasn't a child actor or anything. I never did any of that, but it sort of came to me naturally. I mean, yes, there's some nepotism there only because I understood how it all worked and had an affinity for it, and you know, I had an in the Toronto theater scene already because of my parents. So that's kind of how it started. And then just snowballed from there. I mean, it's wonderful work if you can get it, man. But, you know, it's obviously it's tough because there's a lot of
competition,
a lot of actors out there. And, you know, there's not a ton of stuff. But, yeah. And, you know, my sister was acted for a little bit. She doesn't anymore. She's a personal trainer now, but, you know, it's not that it happened by default really, but it was felt like a natural progression. Like I don't have any real life skills, so I became an actor. So.
Was there a specific TV show or movie that you were watching one day and you were like, yes, this is what I want to go do?
I don't know, man. You know, when I was little, it was like, you know, or when I was growing up, it was like I loved, like, you know, the A-Team and like Magnum PI and all that. You know what I mean? So that stuff to me, but it also felt kind of foreign to me because to me, for what my parents did and what acting was the theater, right? And there was a bit of a separation there for me, I think, for a while until I maybe realized it was all the same thing. You know, I think I basically understood it, but that kind of stuff and comedy too always spoke to me. I mean, you know, it was 100% always something that I wanted to do, you know, and it doesn't really come a time, you know, when you're in school and stuff, you just get in trouble for making people laugh, or, you know, you're that kid who doesn't shut up, or, you know, and then later on you sort of realize, wait, I can make a living doing this? This is something that's real available to me? Which came later, but I can't really pinpoint one thing that said, you know, I saw them doing it and I went, that's what I want to do. I mean, I don't really have a story like that. No.
So what was your first gig that you landed?
You know, I feel like there was a couple of things that I did early on. Probably I think my first thing was that thing that I referenced earlier. The movie was called Blue City Slammers, and that was the first thing that I actually auditioned for. I got it, and it was a substantial part in a movie. And it was about this small town baseball team, softball. I think it was like a women's softball team. And I was the son of one of the girls in it. And I think I fall in love with this small town girl and stuff. But I'm this kind of punk rock kid skating around and stuff. And that would be the first thing probably. I think my mom was on a show called Night Heat for a minute. And I did a tiny thing on that, but it wasn't really of my own doing. Again, it was kind of by default, right? Like I was there, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, put him in it." But yeah, probably. I think Blue City Slammers would be my very first job I ever did. I mean, I think I was about 13 years old. I had a little mohawk, and I was, in like a ripped up jean vest. I just was skateboarding around, like I said, and they called me into audition. Next thing I knew, I was making a movie, right? So that's probably the first thing.
So you did a lot of TV and film in the beginning of your career in Canada. So how did you transition? How did you transition? You're like, okay, I'm making a move to LA.
Well, I was down here back and forth a lot. And my wife has family in Orange County and some down here. So we're back and forth like a lot of actors. You come down and you jump through the hoops for different shows and stuff. And either it's something that's shooting back in Canada or something, they cast it out of here. But to come here without a visa and without a green card to actually work, you can't do it, right? So you're back and forth a lot. And we had a place in Venice, and we had when my son was pretty young, and we were here and back and forth. And we thought, we're going to have to just move because our kids are getting older, and, you can't really go back and forth once they get to school age and all that stuff. You're not so footloose and fancy free, right? And it's hard, man. I mean, it takes a minute, right? This is like it's a big, it's a big spot. It's where all the actors are and everything. So, as an actor in Canada and you're in Toronto and Vancouver or working there, there's a lot more available to you. There's only a specific amount, obviously, and everything too. It's sort of like jumping into the big league, right? If you're really going to take a shot here. So we just immigrated. I just applied for green cards, and I brought the family here, and we just set up shop here and carried on. And we've been lucky enough to just work a lot, man.
Yeah.
So it's
and it's funny because a lot of TV shows now get filmed in Canada, which is crazy.
Well, that's true, right? Yeah. I mean, and that's still the case where, especially Vancouver, I guess Toronto too, man. Yeah. And that's all tax break stuff. That's all tax credit thing, right? And, it depends on how strong the dollar is in Canada. If the U.S. dollar is a lot better, then it, makes sense for them to go there. And tax credits, right? I mean, that's why a lot of stuff shot in Atlanta as opposed to Los Angeles. It depends who's, what the governor's doing and what the tax incentives are, really, right? So that sort of really depends where you're shooting stuff is that. So when you get into major millions of dollars, whatever, a 15% tax incentive is a lot. You know what I mean? So that's where.
So now you're on Tacoma FD, which is going to premiere on TruTV. How did you get approached for that project? And tell us about the audition.
Yeah, man. I jumped through the hoops like every other dingbat out here. You know what I mean? I went in, auditioned a bunch of times. It was funny, actually. I have a small Canadian and a hockey connection to that because all my stories have some sort of hockey connection. No, I was playing on a team with my buddy down here in Los Angeles. Mike. Shit, man, I'm blanking on his last name now. This is Mike Weaver. Shit, sorry, Mike, if you're listening, I love you, buddy. Mike was in the Super Troopers movies and all that stuff. Tacoma FD is Kevin Heffernan and Steve Lemmy, right?
Yeah.
Are part of the Broken Lizard guys and stuff. So Mike has a connection with them, and I was going into audition, and I was playing hockey with Mike, and I said, hey, I'm actually going to meet your buddies. I'm reading for this pilot. It's called Tacoma FD, this and this. And he said, oh, shit, yeah, man, let me text them. And he texted him and said, hey, Hogan's coming in, and, some dick joke or whatever it was. And then I came in the next day, And I said, hey, so I had a small connection there because I knew Mike, and read for the guys, and which was great. And then I went back in again later on, and they brought the other producers in, and all the network, and everybody was there, and with a whole bunch of other dudes, and we hit it off, and read the stuff and jumped through the hoops, and got cast. Yeah. It was funny actually for that audition too. Because the guys described as I think they wanted a big, huge, muscly dude, right? So in the waiting room there, I was like, geez, look at these guys. There was like some monsters in there, like the bodybuilder kind of guys or whatever. So. But yeah, man, I read for it, got the part, and it was honestly the most fun that I've ever had, making a show. It was just laughed all day, and, everybody in it. Eugene Cordero, too, is a good buddy of mine now, and Marcus Henderson is great. Hassie Harrison, who plays Lucy. We're so lucky, dude. I just hope we get to keep making it because it was so much fun, and I think it shows when you watch the show too. It's great, it's funny, and it moves along, and it was a blast, dude. Like honestly, I'm not kidding when I say I've never had so much fun at work ever.
Can you, without spoiling it, tell the listeners what the show is about?
Yeah, sure. It's about it's basically it's a workplace comedy, and they're firemen, and the one-liner is that they're the firemen in the wettest city in America, right? So they don't get out on a lot of calls, and it's all they're stuck in the firehouse, and they just mess with each other, and they have a feud with the cops, and if you've seen Super Troopers or Reno 911 or those, it's in that vein of comedy, right? And so that's it. Without spoiling anything, that's basically what the show's about. Yeah.
Now you play Ike Crystal. Tell us a little bit. Tell us about your character.
Yeah, Ike is. I don't want to say he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's. Put it this way: he moonlights as an exotic dancer, right? And he's sort of full of himself. He's great fun, man. He's. Geez, I don't know what else to say about him. You gotta watch the show.
Would you be friends with Ike if he was real?
I think so. I think he could be. He'd be a really fun guy to have around. You know what I mean? He might grate on your nerves after a while. There's a lot of eye rolling, but he's one of those guys, right? I mean, he's a great fireman. He's loyal. He's opinionated, and but at his core, I think he's a good guy. He's a little ridiculous, but yeah.
Now, were you a fan of Super Troopers?
Yeah, I was. I was. Absolutely, man. I'm a fan of all that Broken Lizard shit. I mean, I like Beer Fest. I thought was hilarious, and there's a buddy of mine who kept telling me to watch Beer Fest, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like, what is that, and who even? But honestly, I thought it was fantastic. Slam and Salmon, all their stuff. Yeah. I love all of it. Club Dread. I mean, they're there's a reason why they have a big fan base. I mean, it's excellent stuff, man. I love it. I dig it all.
How was it working with Steve and Kevin on set for Tacoma?
It was. Sorry, you still got me?
Yeah.
It was great. Steve and Kevin are amazing, man. I mean, and they were at the helm of all of it. They're writing, they're producing. Heffernan directed the first two. Lemmy directed, I think, 7 and 8 or something like that. But so they were busy and acting in the show, and it was just so much fun. Like I said, there was so many laughs, and a lot of times you'll get on a show and they'll say, you can improv some stuff, we'll add stuff. We'll do one scripted, and then we'll do one. You can say whatever you want. there's a lot of times like they want to do that, but you don't. You know what I mean? Because you get there and it's running and time is money and they want to get it right. So they never really let you do it. In my experience, it's very rare.
Yeah.
But these guys, man, it was like, we do one that is scripted and you can, the next one you can improv. Guys are adding stuff, or doing something else, doing something completely different. Whatever's funny works. And so it makes it so alive and so great and funny, right? Because everybody feels free and confident to just do whatever, and there's no ego in the way where it's just best idea wins. They're not like protective of their stuff, like the script isn't precious. It's sort of like, just go, man. If there's something funny, or do it. Like let's have some fun, which was amazing. And I think people kind of strive to do that, but they found a real nice rhythm and way to work like that works and is super fun to do. You know what I mean?
Where was the show recorded?
We did it here in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And how many episodes are we expecting in the first season?
The first season has 10 episodes.
Okay.
And they're going to drop on TruTV March 28th.
All right. Is that going to be after the basketball games too? Because I know March Madness is going to be on TruTV also. How are they going to work that around?
That's right. Well, they have, it won't interrupt them. That's
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. They actually just, we were just talking about that today because we got to pick our brackets because we all got to,
yeah.
dude, there's so many teams, dude. I'm like, what? We were talking about it today though. Yeah. So we have a Tacoma FD. We're all making picks. I think the other shows on True are like I'm Sorry, and all those guys are all picking theirs too. Yeah, I think actually we're on right after the Impractical Jokers, which is an awesome show. Those guys out of New York. So we premiere right after their premiere, which is great for us because they got the show's huge.
So if you weren't an actor, what do you think you would have been doing right now?
You know what? I'd probably be doing construction or something like that, some sort of contracting or something. My brother's here visiting me right now, actually, and he's a heavy equipment operator. He does, interlocking stone and all that big stuff. Probably something like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
So, do you have like a dream role that you want to play someday?
I don't know, man. If I have one, I might be playing it. It might be Ike. It might be my dream show anyway.
It could be.
I don't know
right?
about a dream role. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't have, I don't think of like a dream role. I think of my dream gigs. You know what I mean? I think like, it'd be great to do like a comedy in Hawaii or something. And I could bring everybody out there. I don't think I have anything specific. Actually, you know what, man? And this goes back to your earlier question too. I think when I was growing up, when I saw Conan the Barbarian
with Arnold,
the first one, with Arnold, that fucking one, I was like, I want to be in that movie. I think I might maybe I wanted to be Arnold. I don't know.
I think everybody wanted to be an action hero after they saw those movies. Like I grew up in the '80s too, so I still watch the '80s movies. My wife still makes fun of me because I watch those movies.
Yeah, right. It's funny how some of them age well. You're like, yeah, this is still awesome, and some of them you're like, oh wow, that's weird.
Yeah. You're right. What's that? Do you have a bucket list for 2019? Is there something that you want to accomplish?
A bucket list in 2019? Why? Am I going to die in 2020?
No. I'm just. Is there something you want to?
No, I hear you. Man. Not really. Like my life is so good right now. I mean,
awesome.
if I can keep sailing like this, 2019, maybe just travel more with my kids or something like that. But I got nothing on the plate right now. Yeah. I want to do more Tacoma. I know that.
Yeah. Do you have any other upcoming projects that you want to plug?
I don't have anything else that I know that's when it's released or anything like that I can speak on. I'll still just plug away at Tacoma, man, for sure.
There you go. And lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
Yeah, for sure. All my handles are the same. It's Hogan Film, HOGANFILM, Hogan Film.
All right. Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners before we end this?
No, man. Keep your head up, keep your stick on the ice, and have fun.
There you go. Thanks, Gabe. This was fun.
All right, bro. Anytime, man.